All right, Jason.
All right, take care. So now we switch gears and
Hello, everyone. Hi, Jason.
put LV up.
Nice to see you again after so many years. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about urban wilderness. Urban and wilderness survival. I mean, you know how nowadays I don't want to make a big deal out of what's happening, actually, but we have to make sure that we are safe, wherever we are at home or wherever we have to go somewhere else. Like if you have family somewhere else, like in the country, where you can be like safe and away from like craziness in case it gets really bad. I don't know how it is in New York. Right now I live in Vegas, and here it's not that crazy. I mean, it's getting hot. That's the worst it can get here. Last week was 105. That was pretty hot. And I would like this to be more like, you know, you can ask questions, Jason, so I don't feel, you know, I don't talk that much. And if you help me here and there, or if someone has like a question about like what survival means, what's like a bug out means, how to like prepare for that, I know a little bit about it because I usually do go like on hikes, and I like bringing everything that I need with me, so I don't depend on anything or anyone. So let's start with safety. That's one of the main things. Like you have to make sure, like when you're in your house, every night, someone has to make sure every door, every window is closed completely. So you know, that's like the number one. You have to decide whether to stay in or to stay out. As I was saying, like if you have a family in the country or you have a cabin, that would be a nice time to go and recreate outside or stay somewhere safe. Another thing that you have to, like, if things get so crazy, you have to make sure that you are undetected. So I have some example of like backpacks that you can carry around. All right. I have this one. My light is terrible. Sorry about that. You see this one? This is not mine. I actually made this one for my roommate. It's pretty easy to do. Like if you are driving in a car or something, you can have stuff that you will need like in a survival situation. This is number one. Like in Vegas, we need this because we are actually always at 100 and something. I'm sorry, I'm not like prepared for this. So make sure, like, if you want to ask questions, you tell me, like, all right, if I live in a cold area, what should I bring? I can help you with that. So what we have in here is gloves. Nowadays we need gloves. I know you guys know what that is. And the other thing you need is a sleeping bag. This is a really basic one. Let me turn on the lights to make it better. Okay. This is just like a simple sleeping bag. We got it for pretty cheap in Amazon. That's not mine, but it's just in case of emergency. Let me go with that. You would actually, what you need is something more basic, something like this, something that you can be undetected. Like it's just like a regular backpack. It's not like the other one. And in this one, you can just have like one extra clothes, like for one more day. You have water, basic stuff like to brush your teeth, to wash your face, if that's like something really important for you. All right. So, questions before I continue?
Inez asks if there's a store that you recommend to get a backpack.
A place?
See.
I usually buy them. I like REI because it has pretty much anything that you will need. However, like it can be pretty expensive. So I would say like if you want to have a backpack, you can have the basic one, like the backpack you use for school. Just make sure you always have like something in there that will allow you to like, if you had to stay, like for example, you had to stay in an elevator, something really that can happen sometimes. Just make sure you have like water, you have in there like snacks, like you can be pretty comfortable for a few hours and stuff like that. Yeah, and that's where you can get a backpack. REI, if you want to be like really like expensive and spend a lot of money on it and stuff like that. What else? So how things are in New York? What are the main things that like people are like worried about? Because I know obviously for me it's not the same thing. I mean, here is they say like stay home. The worst that can happen to me was that they closed parks, so we cannot go and camp and hike or backpack or whatever, all of those things.
Sort of the same in New York in the sense that we're under stay-in-place rules here in New York. So parks, recreational places, they're closed. Also, there's this debate going on if the beaches are going to open because state beaches are going to open and then city beaches are not. So there's that whole debate going on. So it's the main concern I would say in New York is PPE for medical staff. Because everybody here wants masks and medical staff here also need that stuff. So that's one of the biggest concerns.
Okay, yeah, I was reading about it. Like they say that, I mean, we all gonna get the virus. It's just not safe to do it at the same time because that's when the problem becomes, right? Um, however, like I guess we have to be strong. Like as like you guys have a really good governor. I've been like watching his like talks all the time. I mean, all the time, whenever I can. But it's really inspiring. Uh, I don't know if he recommends to go and on walks like around the block, like to do those kind of things that are safe. That's really important because one of the main things about like survival, you have to make sure that you are physically strong. Like sometimes you have to walk a lot. Like you have to have a backpack that is really heavy. But if you just come from like being at home and not doing anything, when you have to like actually get a backpack and go to a safe place, you might not be able to like go for a long time. So it's important to exercise like at least for a few minutes every day, go out. If you don't have to go to work, I mean, some of you might have to. I mean, I still have to work. But if you don't, just make sure like on a daily basis, go for like for a walk around a block or two, or just use your mask. Make sure you are safe and bring a lot of water. Um, who are you guys like into like camping and backpacking and stuff like that?
I love camping. It's like I did it in the army kind of, but I like went on my first like adult camping trip with like Jason in the Leadership Academy. So like that's one of my favorite experiences in the academy. I don't think I've ever told him that because just like all the things that we did, the high level challenges and the low level challenges, they were like extremely fun and really great. Yanaris has a comment. She said, what would you recommend to someone to become strong or be ready for survival? is there any program you have taken before that you will recommend to us?
I mean, I don't know exactly about any program because all of the survival stuff, they will cost you a lot of money. Like you can become part of a club. Like for example, like in here, I'm part of a club where you can go and do hikes. You go up in mountains and stuff, but you have to pay like a yearly membership. I mean, the easiest thing to like prepare for that, like the way that I've been preparing, like when I had to go on a hiking or a long hike, like the longest I did was like 3 weeks. I was in the wilderness for 3 weeks. And when I work, I know that we have some time to stack stuff like in the bottom and try to, when I work, to be like in my legs like really low, because when you are in the wilderness, you have to be sitting down a lot. That's how you cook. That's how you put your tent. That's how you, if you have to do bushcraft, you have to be always like with your knees bended. So you have to make sure that you do like sit-ups all the time, walking. Like if you have a backpack that is really heavy, you put as much weight as you can hold. And when you're gonna walk, that will also help you like to build the muscle that you will need. So that way, when you go on hikes, you don't need to be like, you don't want to be that too tired, you know. You might not be able to do more than 2 miles if you're not ready. So getting a backpack really with a lot of weight, that will help a lot. Oh, that was a good question. I had to do that more often, but I always try to do my sit-ups because that's one of the most important things. Especially you have to go up in a mountain. Going up or down is really hard. Yes, boss?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Neris had a question. She says, what would you recommend to someone to become strong, be ready for survival? Is there any program you have taken before?
Senor, we asked that question. We asked that question just now, Senor.
Right? Marley was trying to feed the bird and I had to run.
Oh. Okay. How's Cornelia?
But it's fine. She survived everything.
All right. I was telling him that his name is Stephen, or something like that. Sorry, I'm really bad at that. To become strong, to be ready like for a workout situation, you have to make sure that your legs especially are strong. Like I was telling you, like if you have a backpack, you can put as much weight as your body can hold and then go for walks like that. And that would actually help you, because if you walk for at least, let's say in the wilderness, you usually walk about 2 miles per hour. So if you walk for 2-3 hours, I mean, you know, might not walk, that's too much. But let's say you walk an hour every day, I mean, you will be getting ready, because in the wilderness, like your instinct will kick out. So you automatically gonna feel like you wanna give more than what you will give outside, like in here. But just get a backpack, and if you can do sit-ups with a backpack, that's the best one. That's the cheapest way. I'm saying you can also join clubs, like join I don't know, a rock climbing. That will help you, because you have to use like every single muscle when you do rock climbing. Or yep. Did I answer that, Jason? Or cool. I'm gonna show you some stuff that I found that is really interesting when you go, like anywhere you go. If you have a backpack, make sure you have like some basic things like this. This is like emergency, for emergency situations, and they can always come helpful. Let me show you what I have here. Some stuff on it, not everything. This is tape. You can use it like for a lot of stuff, like in the wilderness, if you have to type your bag, or it's really strong, like you want to make like a cord out of it. I just like had a bunch of those and I tied it together so I can have like just a little bit. and it fits in all of this. So I can go anywhere with this bag, and I can kind of, I don't know, cure. I mean, I have some pills, painkillers. This for when you get blisters, because you will get blisters, no doubt about that. These things. And I have a lot of other for different blisters. This is to fix a tent. Like if your tent rip or something, you can use this. It's like a clear plastic thing. Imodium. Like you, most of the people when they go into the wilderness or when they have to like survive, I mean, you are under so much stress that's one of the main things. Like your stomach gonna start acting up, so you need to have one of those. It's a basic thing. Alka-Seltzer. Wet wipes. This thing have been here for a while, so here and there you should like try to change them. Like some stuff expire. Like for example, I made my painkillers, so they expired a couple times. Any cards that you might need, like if you have like some medical things, you can bring your extra cards. Like in here, for example, I have my wilderness first aid card that says like if someone is like having issues or something, I can try or attempt to save them, even though, you know, I'm still like legally responsible if they die. So I don't know if it's worth it to save them. Anyway, in this, like if I want to start a fire, I can use this or signal. The other thing that is really important, like especially for people who live in New York, I mean, we also have like really cold climates, like temperature can go like really low, like in the 20s or something. So you can wrap yourself in this. It's a survival blanket. And you can also use it like to signal, like if you're like lost in the wilderness, you can signal this, and if an helicopter is passing by, they will be able to like see you from this, with this. And also your temperature is low, it is going down, you wrap yourself with this. Yeah, and you can start a fire with that. I think the main thing that you have to have always, I don't know in New York how if it's legal or not, but you have to have this. This is one of the main things. Every time I go backpacking, I have to have a knife. And this is one of my favorites because it's really slim, so it can fit anywhere. See how slim? And also have the cord if I had to use it for like something else, like for my shoes, to tie it or whatever. And it also comes with fire starter. I don't usually trust lighters. I prefer this one. I feel like they're faster, and like if your hands are too cold to like start the lighter, if you use this one, it's pretty easy because I mean I don't want to start it now because I'm inside the house. But you use like do the sparks, and you don't need to use that much of like tiny muscles like when like your finger is really cold. It happened to me before, and I didn't like it. Yeah. So I got a few of these. You always have to have like at least 3 ways to start a fire. Like I have usually a couple of lighters. I have like at least 2 of these. And then I also have matches, like waterproof matches. Sorry, I'm a crazy survivalist. So if someone put me somewhere in the desert, I would be happy. I mean, wanted like to tell my friends to like just drop me in the desert and pick me up later, I don't know, a week after, and I'll be happy. Just with a knife and water. Well, I won't be able to bring that much water, but you have to bring a way to purify your water, and that's the next thing. So this is my backpack for when I go backpacking, and it has everything that I need. It's really light because it doesn't have water or food. I always have it ready because whenever I go on a small road trip, I always bring it. Like nature will not take me by surprise. And Sorry, I'm all over the place because obviously I'm not that prepared. I worked last night until I work late, so I haven't slept. So I have my sleeping bag. This is for 2 people, but I call it a mansion because when you're in the wilderness and you have this amount of space to sleep in, it's really awesome. It's a really super light one. And this is everything else that I need, like for cooking, to purify water, to eat, to do the dishes, to clean my water purification system. Okay, this is to clean it. So this is the one I've always been using. Some people use pills to purify the water or boil it. I don't like none of those systems. I mean, I will use it maybe if this stopped working, but this is pretty simple. You just fill up the water, the bottle, and then you put this one at the end. You can either drink straight from it or you can squish it to make it clean. And it's pretty tasty. It tastes like dirt sometimes, but another thing I bring when I go backpacking is this. I use this one to clean my dishes. Well, my only one dish that I use. I mean, this is a little bit of soap, this concentrated soap, and then I use this one, and this I wipe it because obviously when you are backpacking, you're not carrying that much water. You want to use the water to drink it, not to do dishes.
Elvia, you have 2 questions. You have one from Jason about, I believe, the water system, like the water filtration system that you have. What is it called? The one that you just showed us. And also, Yaneris asked, would you recommend having different backpacks ready depending on the situation, meaning emergency backpacking or traveling, or having one is enough?
Well, depends. Depends where you live. Depends like the weather that you're dealing with. Like, for example, I know in New York it's hot and also it's cold. So you have to have different backpacks. Not different backpacks, but you adapt your backpack according to the weather. And for this one, for example, for me, is for any kind of weather. Like it could be cold or hot or whatever. I always want to have that because it's the smaller I can be, but it's for wilderness. If you guys are driving, I know in New York, like I know because I was there for a while. We usually take the train, so you cannot have that much stuff. But at least you always have to have like this, which is a medical emergency kit, because you don't need to buy a Band-Aid, I mean a whole box of Band-Aid because you just cut your finger a little bit. You just use the one that you have. Use a small one. It doesn't have to be like specific like this. Just like a really small bag and just other things that you think will be necessary and things that will not make you spend more money on the street, you know. Something else. If you in your backpack, just regular backpack. Let's assume that you guys just take the train and that's it, that you're not driving. So just have emergency things. You have some basic stuff like this. For example, this is like dry shampoo, lotions, and you can put like I don't know, chapstick. That's a really important thing that you have to have, and toothbrush and toothpaste if you think that is necessary. This is the one that I always have. Like, doesn't matter if I have like a purse or whatever I have, I always put this one. I call it my goodie bag. And I have all of those things that I told you, like I have basic makeup. And if I were in New York, I mean, I never had this one before, but I wish I would have it. It's just like these 3 things I speak for women, I guess, in that case. Just like liner and some mascara and lip gloss. That's it. That's something you need and you're gonna be ready to go. You have to have some cash. Always remember that you have to have cash. Like sometimes the machines will not be working and wherever you go in, so you have to have at least, I don't know, or I would say $100, but in small bills would be good to have. I mean, toothbrush, as I told you. And I have some other like emergency things, like for example, like if I can't brush my teeth, I can always have like a mouth spray. This is a lip gloss or like sun protection lip balm. I mean, for women's, you can also have like things that you need in a monthly basis. And what was the other thing that?
Water purification. Where's it from?
The water. This is the one. This is really popular within the backpacking community because one is small, it's cheap, it's like about $30, and usually it comes with the bags that you can use. And at the end, it's actually comparable with the regular bottled waters. So you can put a bottled water too, and then just like drink it from the bottle. Like if you have to like, you think the water is not safe to drink, just put it in the bottle and then you tie this thing in the top and then you can just drink it. And that's the name, Sawyer. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Good, Sawyer, yeah.
Sawyer. Yeah, that one. Another thing that I always have with me is like little pieces of this aluminum foil. I use like folded or really small. And what I use it for is when, for example, when I'm cooking and it's really windy, you can use it like as a wind break, like to break the wind. The other way that I use it for is like, for example, like sometimes it happens that I bring more people to go hiking, well, come to me, and they never bring a plate. I always bring whatever I need for myself, but I don't bring for other people. And I have to use this one as a plate. Use like small and kind of make it like in a shape that is for a plate. And it's good for that. And also for reflection, like as a survival thing, you can reflect the light. And I don't know, it might have some other functions that I might find out whenever it's necessary in the wilderness. You think about any other questions, you can ask me, or
Of your question, would you have flares in your bag as well, like in terms of something to help people locate you if you get lost in the wilderness? Because I know that some survivalists have flares that they carry with them just in case.
I don't. I don't have it. I guess the only thing that I've been carrying is use maps. I used to make sure that I know where I am, because if you know where you are, that's one of the main ways to get lost. And usually when you go backpacking, you have to follow a trail. If you get out of the trail, you have to tell someone. Like most of the time, I will not get out of the trail if I'm by myself. But if somebody else is there, I have to tell them, like if I'm like, going in another direction. Actually, one time it happens that we lost one of our team members, because we didn't have clear that where the location of where we're supposed to camp. That was like backpacking. That was actually in Zion, in Utah. And it happens that somebody else was behind in front of him. And when we got to the point where there was supposed to be water, which the water was like green and nobody would want to drink it, but it was tasty though. The first guy just went to the water, and the other one who was behind him didn't know that he went to the water, and he kept going, and he went like about maybe like 5 miles. So I had to go through like a really difficult trail in the other direction to see if I can find it, and he was going all the way and coming by that same direction. So I found him by the 9 p.m. So I think if you have a map, just make sure like you know where you're going. Like my mistake in that case, because I mean he was new at backpacking, was that I give him the map, but he just put it away because obviously we were in a group. He was not thinking that he would get lost. But make sure that they know like a middle point. You have to mark them like, okay, here is where we want to camp, and if you're not there by 9, that means you're lost. And that's when we had to look for them. And you know, it's not nice to get lost in the wilderness because a plane search is at least $10,000, and most of the time you have to pay for it. It's not a way around. That's why. I think for safety, the only thing I have is usually a knife, and actually I don't try not to get in trouble. Like kind of like if I'm gonna be backpacking in a place that is not designated, I will always hide where I know other hikers will not go through, because I like going by myself. That's the fun part. And now we got well, my roommate, he got like pepper spray gun that shoots like really far, and I can't wait to use it. But it's just like a regular gun, like that. and that's like one of the main safety things that I guess I could also use, but I haven't get anything. Did I answer that? Sorry. And usually this is the stuff that I use when I go backpacking. It's like about 1 pound. Yeah, it's not that bad. So the good thing about this is that, I mean, there is all the basic ones where like it's a small one, you just pour it into the thing, but I like this one because you can boil this amount of water in like less than 5 minutes, like about, I think sometimes 3 minutes, it can be like boiled. And it's self-contained, so I just use this and I plug it in, and then this go on the top, and it has like an extra thing. I use this one for eating, so that way I don't have a bunch of different containers, because you don't want to carry that. The heaviest thing you're supposed to carry is water. But it's just like that, put in the water. This is not supposed to be for cooking. However, I've been like doing pasta in it, and also I've been like cooking soup. But the main use for it is to boil water to dehydrate, to use for dehydrated food. This is the food. So this one is pad thai. It's really good. So you just add 540 milliliters of boiling water. You let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes. You can either keep walking for another 20 minutes while the food is cooking, and then when you get to camp, you eat and you're ready. It's really simple, and it's actually really, really good. My favorite one is lasagna. Other food that also applies for urban survival is this one. Let me show you. Like, it's important to like buy stuff like rice. I mean, I guess you all guys know about that and whatever. But this is one of the things that I like. This is diced carrots and diced tomatoes, and this can last like years. So the only thing you have to do is mix it with different stuff, because you have dry corn, for example, and you mix different stuff that you have, and you can make a soup, a stew, or some other different stuff. Sometimes you can also get dehydrated eggs, and those are really good for like scrambled eggs. And they're a little bit pricey, but I think it's worth it, because you just want to have something there just in case you need it, and they can last forever. Even water cannot last forever. Like, if you had to like save water for a while, like for months, you know it would taste really bad after like, I don't know, a couple months. But they also sell water that is like in a package that can last like about 2 years. It's like, yeah, it's a prepper things. Not that prepper, but okay. What else am I missing?
I think the question I have is, what was your longest trip like that you've ever gone into the wilderness? Because you said you like doing that. So, how long was your longest trip into the wilderness? And also, what were some like when you go on these hikes and these excursions, so to speak? Are you doing it because you said you like going by yourself? Is it a lot different when you go with a team of people versus when you go by yourself? In what ways are they different?
The longest one I done was three 3 weeks, I think. Yeah, I think it was 3 weeks. So I started from the Mexican border, and that trail was from California, from the Mexican border, all the way to across Canada. It's actually almost 3,000 miles. It's divided by section. I only did 3 sections. I only did like, I don't know, I didn't do that many miles. I think it was like 200. But you start in one point, and when you get to a point, like to sleep, you just find wherever to sleep, and you sleep there, and you keep going. So that's my favorite one. And the reason I did it by myself, actually, I don't want to burn anyone, but Ruth was supposed to go with me, one of the, uh, and finally, at the last minute, she couldn't make it. And I was like, well, you're already planning for it, so I will go. And I decided to go by myself. But in almost any trail, I think it's pretty safe. That's one of the reasons I like US like parks, because they're pretty safe. You always find people there that are like the same as you. They're just there because they want to be in the wilderness. They want to be sometimes left alone. Sometimes they want to meet people that are like doing the same thing. In that experience that I had, I was I met some people. So when you are hiking, sometimes we all go in the same direction. So you meet someone, that person might be like faster than you. So you might be hiking with them like for about 2 miles, and then you lost them forever because obviously they might make it to Canada or whatever. And I met a lot of people like that. But I prefer when I was hiking by myself. Even though I was hiking slower, I calculated I was doing like about less than 2 miles per hour. But um, I was doing the things that I like. I was taking pictures of the flowers that I found. I was taking pictures of the insects. I was talking to the insects or whatever. And I was kind of enjoying nature. It was the most beautiful place. I mean, I think I love it. South California in the desert was really nice. And then when I meet people, I was meeting them like they were the same as me. So I was equally having fun, but they were preventing me from my solitude. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be by myself. So when you go with another person and you're always with them, you come back and you find out that you didn't actually enjoy it. So it's just a preference thing, I guess. But
Another question for somebody who wants to start hiking and stuff like that, what would be your top 5 suggestions to that person getting started? Because obviously you've had longer trails than this person will obviously do. So what would be like your top 5 pieces of advice to that person?
oh, I mean, I don't know. I guess depends on the person, but some people are extroverts, some people are introvert. Like if that person is like me, I would say like take the train and go to Bear Mountain and decide and go on the hike, and I don't know, do it without like waiting for someone to do it. But if someone is really like extrovert, they like want to do a group or whatever, they can join clubs. Like if you go to Meetup, you will find a bunch of like different clubs that get together, because sometimes your friends are not available when you want to go on a hike. So you have to go online and find friends that want to do the same thing, right? So I guess my recommendation would be that one, like join a meetup club. And you don't need to spend money, or at least not a lot of money. You just need a backpack, you just need a bottle of water and some snacks. If it's like a day hike, you only need some snacks. And after that, like if you like it, maybe you can decide if you need to extend it, like via stay overnight. And to make it safe, you can try to go to a campground before you try to go into the wilderness, because you know what you're doing, you might get lost and you might need require like rescue, and you might never want to hike again. So, but take it slow, but just do it because it's fun.
There are places to hike in New York. Didn't we go hiking once?
Yeah, we've been hiking. We went to hike Bear Mountain, and that was a really nice time. I mean, Jason can organize those things like in a minute, and just try to go. Take everyone. Take everyone.
You just have to make sure that who's ever leading you is not looking for something that is right where you start and then takes you 4 miles, 4 hours away from where it is that the actual place is.
Well, you make sure that you know where you're going, Jason, because I know you can wander a lot.
You have a compass in the bag?
No, I don't know how to use compass. That's one of my main things that I have to do. I had to learn because it's not easy to learn to use a compass. You have, I mean, nowadays we have GPS, so I use my phone usually for navigation to know in what direction, but most of the time I just follow the trail. If at some point I feel like the trail is not what it says in the map, paper map, which are the best thing, I just come back to the point where I started to feel lost, and then I put myself together. The number one thing, if you ever get lost in the wilderness, don't keep walking. Just stop where you are. If you have to camp right there, stay right there, but don't keep walking because you're gonna get more lost or you're gonna end up in the middle of a war situation. You stay where you are, and if you don't think you can make it back, somebody else gonna be walking by that same place. But just make sure like at least every hour you check your location. Check on the map that you are where you're supposed to be. And don't get into private property because don't get in there.
So is there an app on your phone that you use for GPS that works in desolate places?
Yeah, there is an app that I really like. I've been having it for like a couple of years. It's called All Trails, ALL Trails, and that has pretty much every single trail on the whole world, I guess, I think. And the good thing about that app is that other people leave reviews about that trail, so they can tell you, oh, this trail is not a basic one, because it rates you by like beginner, intermediate, hard, or strenuous, which is like sometimes impossible to hike because you need like ropes and stuff like that. If people leave reviews and leave pictures, like if you like the pictures, you might want to go there, and if you like the reviews, you might say like, oh, this trail is not it's not that interesting or whatever. Or they might say like, oh, this trail is really hard when it's winter because a lot of snow. So it's a good way to know. Use the old trails.
Do you use special boots, footwear?
Depends how far you're going, and also depends how heavy your backpack is. Like if you just have like a regular backpack, you can have your sneakers. If you just gonna go on a regular trail, just use your sneakers and you will have no problem. However, if you're gonna have a backpack that weighs more than 25 pounds, you have to have a like boots that can support your feet, because if not, you will have trouble. Let me see if I have my boots here. So this is the ones I use. They look dirty, but that's how they are. They were like that since ever. Oh, they might be a little bit dirty anyway. So the reason why these boots are good is because your feet want to stay in the same position. Like if you have sneakers, your feet might like expand a little bit. So if you have weight on you, that will span even more. So with this one, it will keep in the same place, and they're pretty much done for it. I mean, they're usually expensive. This one were like over 100, I don't know how much. But they have this grip that you can go over rocks, and I recommend it if you're gonna be like, become a hiker. Like if you're actually gonna do more than one hike every 2 months or something, or you're gonna go and have a really big backpack. So, but if not, just basic shoes. Don't spend a lot of money until you love it. Once you love it, like it will become automatically. You want to start spending money. All your check when I go to climbing stuff or hiking stuff. But until then, just take what you have. I'm pretty sure you have sneakers. Okay.
Describe some, since we were supposed to do some rock climbing here today, can you describe some climbing experiences that you've had?
Climbing experiences. I don't have that much. That's what I was like. I was concerned about that because, I mean, obviously when I'm doing it, I love it, but I haven't followed like it's to learn more. When I was in New York is when I was doing it the most because there are some rocks in Central Park. There's a couple of them. There's one of my favorite ones was in the 59th Street, my closer to 59th Street, and I think it's called Cat Rock, cat like a cat, and you don't need a rope there. Don't think that you need maybe somebody else to catch you in case you fall. But it's not that high, and it's called bouldering. Like when you don't go that high, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, with like the different things. Like bouldering is like when you don't need a rope, and the rocks you don't have to climb it like more than 2 people, 3 people your size, kind of. And I actually love there. And if you guys got a chance to go, like usually in the afternoons, there is always like people doing it, and you can learn from them. You can ask them questions. The thing you have to know is like people who are rock climbers. They are pretty like interesting. They will always be able to help you. I mean, it's a good community. Here in Vegas, been to I had done some rock climbing in my school. Well, when I was in school. Yeah, that's it. And it's a good sport, really interesting. But the reason why I know why I haven't continued doing it is because it's a 2 people sport, and I'm usually a solo person. So either you want to do on a high rope, which is when the rope is tied to the top and then you have to go climb up. Somebody has to be belaying you from the bottom. So you need a second person, and you have to know that person, and you have to trust them, especially. The other one is lead climbing, which is like when you go climbing and you go clipping your own rope. I haven't tried that one because if you fall with that one, well, you get hurt pretty much often. So, but I would like to do it. I met a friend that he's allowed into rock climbing. I might start doing it.
Now, when you went on the retreat, you climbed the rock wall and you climbed it with your feet clasped together?
Yeah, I think the instructor was thinking that I was doing pretty well, and he wanted to challenge me. So he tied both of my shoes, and I had to climb pretty much using my upper body. When you do rock climbing, most of the time, most of the weight is in your legs. But this time I was using my upper body because both of my shoes were tied. So whenever I had to go up, I had to use my whole body to do it. And it was good. I like the challenge. I remember that.
Any other questions? Any thoughts? Well,
So another thing is, you guys gonna be like bugging in, which is called when you have to stay home because that's the safest place. That's where you have everything. You have your food, you have your bed, you have everything comfortable. And unless you have a safe place to go, don't go. But you have to have water. Like just imagine like the water systems is messed up or something for some reason. I would consider like important to have water at least enough for like a week. Supposed to be each person supposed to have like at least 1 gallon of water per day. No, it's not only for drinking, unless it's really hot, but it would be like for basic necessity, like to wash your face or whatever. But if you have like big containers, it would be important to save some water, save some dry food or whatever. I think water is important. And
I do have one more question. Is there certain places that you can't drink the water? Do they tell you that? And because I downloaded the All Trails app, but is there certain places you cannot drink water from, or?
well, pretty much you cannot drink any water from nowhere. You have to always filter it. I mean, by filtering, I mean like use one of these things. So in the US, I guess we're kind of lucky that almost every water is safe. It's safe from chemicals. Like for example, like if you go to an area where they have, like for example, south of California, where like they have fertilizers running through the water and whatever, and some of those rivers south of, like in Mexico, for example, like people throw things on the water. That's not safe to drink. Even this thing will not do anything to it. But in the US, pretty much this would be fine because the only thing that would be needed to be filtered would be in case like an animal died upstream or they did, you know, the poo or whatever. That's the kind of things that this will filter and it will be safe. That will prevent you from having like diarrhea, which is not recommended to have it in the wilderness. Yeah.
Okay, so Fatima Hernandez asked, have you ever have you been afraid before going on these trips, and how do you handle those fears actually going out into the wilderness on these trips?
Well, the way I've been handling is by being mad at being afraid, because I mean, as a women, sometimes we fear more because we feel like we have more to lose in case something goes wrong. And by being mad, it's like you're trying to be strong because you're the only one who can protect yourself there, right? Just don't get into like any like kind of trouble, like, you know, like you will meet people in the way, try to make them your friends, because if something goes wrong, they will be the one who will protect you. I was afraid once. Well, only once. That was when I was hiking in California, and I was going through a section that has there was like an helicopter that crashed around there, so they have like explosives, so they were like stay on trail because, you know, things can like blow you up or whatever. So I was like being so scared because by then it was really late. After 5 o'clock, I didn't see anyone on the trail. There wasn't a single person. It was really hard. I was tired. And I didn't find a place to sleep because in that section, you cannot leave the trail. So you cannot find a place to camp. And I kept walking until it was like 11 p.m. So that was scary. And I was also scared. I mean, obviously I was hiking by myself, but I was always sleeping near another hiker. Like if someone were a tent there, I was like, oh, okay, another person, I can put my tent. Well, I didn't have a tent. I was hiking without a tent. And well, finally I got to a spot at like around 11 p.m., but it was pretty scary. It was.
We have another question from Rokia. Rokia asked, did the instructions change based on the weather? Most of your examples involve warmer places. What is the difference in colder places?
Well, the things that you have to carry in cold places are the same thing that you have to carry in the opposite. Because when it's hot, you have to bring a lot of weight in water. But when it's cold, you have to bring a lot of more like layers, and also a heavier sleeping bag and stuff like that. So just make sure that you have different kind of layers. Like if you're gonna be in a cold climate, she's asking about cold climate or colder place. Okay, so one thing is to have, like, for example, you have something like this. This will not work because this is cotton. You cannot have cotton because cotton will absorb the water and will stay in you. And whenever like it's cold, you will feel colder. So you have to have something that dries fast and something that is really close to your body. That will be your base layer. And then under that, you can have a top. Like women sometimes they hiking with top. So if it gets too hot, because even when it's cold, some people are hiking with shorts because when you're walking, you produce a lot of heat. You have like the base layer, then you have on top of that, you have like another layer that is more like soft. I don't know how they call it. It's like a more puffy kind of thing, but not necessarily like I don't know. It's like you have like 3 different layers, and as you go sweating, you have to be removing it because if you let it, then you might get hypothermia because it gets sweaty and cold and stuff like that. And when it's hot, you still have to protect the whole body. Like for example, when I go, sometimes I go to the lake or whatever, and I had to cover every single part of my body, like from the hands, everywhere. Like even though it's really, really hot, it's worse to have the sun hitting on your skin than to have a piece of cloth covering. Yeah.
Okay, boss.
Both warmer, please. Oh, jeez. I talked for an hour? That's impossible. You see what you made me do, Jason?
Mm.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for all the questions. That made it like so much easier. I was like kind of, I don't talk much. I mean, oh, who's that? Hello. Oh, Jason didn't know you was in San Francisco. All right. And
So thank you, Elvia, for the survival tips.
thank you. Hopefully I answered the questions correctly. Just make sure you guys stay safe there. And I miss being there. I miss you all. And stay positive. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Elvia.
Here now. How I get out of here?
And up next we have, you're gonna all have to get up. I can't even see most of you, but you're all gonna have to get up because Oyami was here to get you dancing and moving. She did this on the retreat a couple of years ago, which is why I thought it would be good to have her do it here now. So I turn you over to Oyami.
Oh, hey everyone. How y'all doing? I see some familiar faces. Elvia, hey sweetie pie, honey, I miss you, honey. Let me see who else. I don't know anybody else. No, all the new faces. But I don't see people. Jason, how I'm gonna do a movement class and I don't see people moving.
Well, that includes Jason too, so and Maggie.
Yeah, well, what I want to say, I don't want to be standing here, Jason, I don't want to stand here and dance by myself. But I will start off saying that this is my first Zoom dance class. I haven't even taken a Zoom dance class, let alone teach one. But yeah, I did this for a retreat. It was an impromptu. We just was hanging out, and I started dancing, and we just said, let's go out, and I teach a class, and we did it out in the woods, and it was a lot of fun. But I wanted to know from anyone that's here, who knows who dances? Anybody? Nobody? Turn on your, unmute yourself and talk to me.
The fawn dances.
Who?
The fawn.
I dance, nothing professional, but I dance, you know, all the time. I like to dance.
Who is that talking? I don't see.
This is me, Raisa. Give me a second. I'm like cleaning something right now.
Okay.
I don't know.
Jason, I want to see. I don't want people watching me. I'm not performing. This is a class. This is a movement class. I am not going to do anything.
I'm right here. I'm gonna do it with you.
I want to see people. This is what is a class. It's not a performance.
Andre's ready to dance.
How many people we got? If at least what? Who else we got? I see somebody cooking in the kitchen.
That's me. I'm gonna do it with you.
Who is me?
I gotta make my daughter her breakfast.
Who is me?
Right here, the kitchen.
All right, you know what we're gonna do first? We're gonna do some because I know everybody is on their phone and on their computers now, especially doing all these Zoom classes. So we're gonna start off with some basic stretches